Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Hi, hi, hi. How are you? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining us in the Profitable Moms in Business. Today I'm a little bit sleepy, so don't mind me if I lag a little bit. Haven't been able to sleep much with my new things that I have been doing and moving. So moving takes a lot of just work and a lot of effort. So today I am excited to talk to you about a question that I have quite often with people that I talk to on Facebook groups and on Instagram. And that main question is, should I use WordPress or should I use Squarespace, right? And before we get into that, we're gonna talk about which one is the best. Sorry, what which one is the best platform for you, and how you can be able to make a decision from a strategic place, right? So not making a decision from what most people think. Is it easier? Is it better? Is it more intuitive? Which one is better to learn? Every platform has a curve of its own, but we're gonna get into that today. Um, but before we get into that, tell me, how's the weather like where you're at? Welcome to my new office. I am, if you didn't already know, I moved to a new place. So now I actually I'm able to have a new office space. How do you like it? Let me know in the comments if you like it. Let me know how's the weather like where you're at and where you're at, and we can get started. My name is Janet Soriano. I am a web designer and business coach, and we come every week in the Profitable Moms in Business to talk to you about everything that has to do with websites, business, how to make them profitable, and how you can be able to use the website as a strategy, not to just have a website for the sake of having a website, but have a website that actually gets you clients, gets you booked, and is profitable at the end. Let me know if the audio for this is actually good, because I am not sure if this little microphone is actually working, but let me know. In the meanwhile, I hope it is working. Uh, let's get started, right? So the main question is whether you want to use whether you started a website already, or you started um a somewhat of what you think you need in order to get your business up and running, which is a website. Most people think that they need a website to get started. It's You do need a website, but in long term consideration, as your business grows, you need a website to be able to create a sustainable business. But as you're starting out, you don't really need. What you need to do is create a visibility plan, right? So one of the things that I see most is that uh you get very frustrated, and at the beginning stages of your business you get very frustrated and um really overwhelmed around all the things that a website involves, because it does involve a lot of work. As a web designer myself, I know that even when I'm designing a website for a client, they still have to deliver a lot of work on their part for me to do my part. So it does take a lot of effort and time. And if you're doing it alone, and if you're, you know, getting started with your website, this one question, or whether what platform to use, what colors, what fonts, or what things you use, can be very overwhelming and can be very something that really stops you from getting your business started. So what I really want to emphasize today is that everything that I'm going to be saying is that no matter what platform or what colors, what fonts you're using, if you don't have a strategy in place, um, it's going to be very, very, very hard to actually have a website that's effective. right? So at the end of the day, you don't want to have a website for the sake of having a website. You want to have a website that actually does the work for you. That while you sleep, this website is actually helping you make more money, helping you get more clients and make the impact that you want to make in the world, right? So when I go on when somebody asks me the question, so should I use WordPress or should I use Squarespace? I usually go to the fact to understanding their business goals, right? So your business goals can be the same as your website goals. And for example, you want to make 10K in revenue this month, right? And which is fine, but what we sometimes don't understand is that we need to be able to reverse engineer how you're going to be able to make that 10K month by creating a strategy on your website. So instead of thinking about, which platform to use, which is really, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you use Squarespace or you WordPress, if the strategy, if it's not in place, if you're not talking to your ideal client, if you're not creating a step-by-step action in which they start working with you, then there's no, like, it doesn't matter what platform you use. You're not going to get clients if you don't have a strategy in place on your website, right? So that's the nitty gritty of everything and all the details of everything that I'm going to say today. But back to the question is, it also depends, right? Whether you want to use WordPress or Squarespace, you still got to think about and get clear on some of these things. And I'm going to share with you what these questions are, but I usually ask my clients in order to make a decision from there. So what do you want? The first question is, what do you want people to visit on your website, right? What is the action that you want them to take, right? And that depends on also, and that is a deciding factor when it comes to the functionality of the website, because when you are using WordPress, you have more functionality to be able to do more things on a WordPress website than on a Squarespace. A Squarespace website is more limited. It's more for showcasing your work as a photographer or depending on the type of business that you have a portfolio, you have art that you want to show, and things that of course, Squarespace also have like shopping carts and stuff like that. But WordPress really gives you that main functionality of more things to incorporate, because there's a vast majority um, of people and programmers developing new plugins every day, basically. So and the other question is, do you want to collect emails, and how many emails do you want to collect per month, right? And this is a deciding factor with how are you going to start creating those relationships, right? And then the third question is, do you want to provide value and resources for free or paid, course, or creating a PDF or something? How much are you going to be charging, right? It does depend on how much you're going to be charging, what's the strategy that you're going to use on your website, and will you be showing your prices, right, on your website, right? This is also a way of, strategizing your website in a way that, do you want people to come to your website and eliminate themselves out from, booking a call with you or buying your services, right? Will you be showing what's the strategy in place that you're going to have for your ideal client, right? So what's the first step that they need to take, the second step, and the third step that they need to take in order to actually buy from you? And so it's really about reverse engineering how you can take a client from, how you can take a browser from landing on your website to being attracted around what you offer and what you sell, to actually taking the action to buy your services, right? And this is one of the things that I talk on my strategy sessions that I have with my design clients. And it's that you need to be able to do 3 things on your website in order for it to be effective. And the first thing is that you need to be able to attract your ideal clients. You need to be able to connect, and you need to be able to drive action, right? And if you're not doing none of these 3 things, it doesn't matter what website or theme or what colors or what fonts are you using. If you don't have that strategy, or you're not doing those 3 things on your website, it really doesn't matter if you're using WordPress or Squarespace, right? So at the end of the day, what I want to let you know and what I want you to leave with is that don't get overwhelmed and don't get frustrated on which platform or which WordPress to use. Of course, each one has its pros and cons. And one of the things that I want to let you know is that from personal reference, for personal learning that I have learned, because I have been able to use other different platforms in which I develop websites, each one has its own learning curves, right? So each one is able, like each one you have to dedicate time to be able to learn it if you're doing it on your own, right? And if you're hiring a designer, it doesn't even matter, right? If you're hiring someone like me that knows, they should be able to guide you on how to make changes to your website, right? At the end of them designing the website for you. That's something that I also offer to my design clients, is that when we create a website together, I primarily prefer to use WordPress because of the vast functionality that it gives me, and because I have tried other platforms and it just seems that WordPress is the one that has more functionality of it all. And for me, I'm so familiar to it. But that doesn't mean that if a client comes to me and they want to build a website on Squarespace, that I won't be able to do it, because everything has a learning curve. But at the end of the day, what really matters is the strategy that you're putting in place on your website for it to be effective, right? So with that said, there's so many things out there. There's so many, choices to make around creating a website. But if you really sit down and you think about, okay, so what is the number one thing that I want my website to do, right? I want it to it can be either I just want to give people resources around my area of expertise and establish myself as a confident expert, or establish myself as a leader around that. And then maybe you don't need to use WordPress, because you don't need all that functionality that it's required if you were to have like a shopping cart, and you are selling some products and some merchandise, or you're selling a membership site, right? So it really depends on what do you need the platform for? What's the strategy that you're going to use to be able to, get the results that you want? And are you willing, whether it's WordPress or Squarespace, to put in the time and the devotion that it needs to be able to learn the platform and know your way around it, to be able to create a website that works for you and works for your business, right? So with that said, if you have any questions around more about WordPress, Squarespace, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details of what each one does or what each one provides and the features it provides. You can go onto their websites and check that out on your own. What I really wanted to come into this space and actually give you the freedom that no matter what you choose, you cannot choose wrong unless you're not actually implementing a strategy on your website, right? And whether it is your fonts, your colors, that changes through time, right? So as your business evolves, as you evolve as a business owner, your changes, your opinions, your, what you like and what you don't like changes. So don't think that if you're starting out something that it's not gonna evolve, or it's not gonna change, or it's not gonna grow, because as you grow, your business grows with you. And as you continue to be more into the business, more into showing up every day. There's no other choice but to grow. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Let me see if there's any comments I can answer. Hi, Ivana. Thank you for being here. And I will catch you next Wednesday on another session, on another live session here on the Profitable Moms in Business. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments. We will be here next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we're gonna actually change the hours to, instead of 1:30 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so catch me live, and I will see you next time. Bye.